Okay, so I'm gonna teach you how to make the rice. I'm going to try and measure things so that you know exactly how much to use. I've never measured anything, so hopefully it'll be good. Just trust me, it'll be good. Okay, so I do the tomato sauce as well. I combine it with the tomato Knorr bouillon stuff, but you can do just this, or you can just do the sauce, or you can do like a mixture like I do. I use this more for like the salt because it does have salt, so I use this just to give it a little bit more flavor, and then I don't add any more salt. So to my tomato sauce, I get that done first. And first I'm going to cut this up. I cut 2 Roma tomatoes, or you can do just 1 big huge tomato. So I will wash them up first. Okay. And I use my bullet. I do have a real blender, but I find that this magic bullet to me is a lot more convenient just because it's small enough for us, and it's easier to wash. Okay, and then I put an onion in there, and I would probably take like half or maybe a third of this half, or yeah, 1/3 of it. So I already have this already in there or cut up, so I'm just gonna throw that in there in my little blender, and that's all it is in here, just tomato and onion and a little bit of water. And the water portion, I just do enough, and you can see it, enough to where it's gonna blend. Okay, so that's the sauce, and I try to have that done before I start my rice, just because the rice, you know, depending on how high, I mean, it can burn pretty quick. So while we make the rice, I've already got my pan over here started to kind of heat it up. I'm gonna go ahead and add oil to that. So again, I'm gonna try to measure this. So this right here is 1 tablespoon. Again, I don't ever measure, so I'm not sure. So that's way too little. So 1, 2, maybe 3. Yeah, see, it covers the whole entire pan, and there's still just a little bit in there. Yeah, so that was 3 tablespoons. Okay. All right. So while that's kind of heating up, we're gonna do our sauce. So that's our sauce. It's ready. It's just blended together, tomato and the onion. Now for my rice portion, I usually do 1.5 cups of a mug, but we're gonna measure it for real this time. So I'm going to measure 1.5 cups. Okay, and then we'll add that to our pan. And what I like to do is just throw a little bit in there, and you see that when the oil is done, these little bubbles on the oil, and you can see the rice kind of fluffing up. So you go ahead and throw your 1 cup, and for me, like I said, I always do 1.5 cups, which is exactly what I have in here. So that's 1.5 cups, and that usually feeds us 4, 3, and then we still have a little bit left over. So all you want to do is just stir it in your hot oil, kind of fry it, brown it really good. Okay, so, and I'll show you how, and maybe it'll take about 5 to 6 minutes. And right now it is on setting 5, so like medium heat. I'm gonna turn up just a little bit, maybe to 6. Okay. Okay, so we're still mixing it. Of course, you can walk away and do other things while this is kind of frying, but make sure that you are stirring it, you know, quite frequently, just so it doesn't just burn the, you know, rice that's sitting on the bottom. But you can already start to see some grains getting color. So you want to keep stirring until it's evenly brown. And you'll see, you'll know. And the more you do this, the more you know, you'll get the hang of it. Also, the way my mom taught me was, if you don't like onions, or like you don't want to mix it in your sauce, what you could do, like right now when it's frying, you can add like big chunks of onion. I know some people do that, and they'll just take it out once, you know, it's done. That way you still have the flavor, but you're not eating the onion, if that makes sense. So we just keep stirring. It's almost there. You know, honestly, I didn't take like to see what time we started doing this, but I would say like 5 to 10 minutes, again depending on how high. I actually did turn it up. It was I turned it up at 6, and then I went up to 7 just because it was going too slow for me. But the whole cooking of rice, like from start to finish, is maybe an hour. It doesn't take that long. And then another hack is that you can boil, like I have a tea kettle, and sometimes when I'm like in a super hurry, I'll boil some water in a tea kettle. That way I'll use boiling water already when I pour the water in, and that way it doesn't take longer to cook. But that's optional. And then once you get the hang of it, you know, you can always do that, try that. But see, now it's all evenly brown, and that's what you want. You don't want it burnt. You don't want it, you just want a pretty, you know, tan. Okay, this is what we're going for right here. Okay, it's pretty tan. Okay, so at this point now, we're gonna add our sauce. Okay. To this, we're gonna add some water. And I have 2 cups here. Let's see, can I clean this? Okay, I have 2 cups here. Okay, so that was 2 cups. Okay, and it is covering the top of the rice. I think I probably want a little bit more water. Okay, let me show you something. Oh, okay, so we're still mixing it. Of course, you can walk away and do other things while this is kind of frying, but make sure that you are stirring it, you know, quite frequently just so it doesn't just burn the, you know, rice that's sitting on the bottom. But you can already start to see some grains getting color. So you want to keep stirring until it's evenly brown. And you'll see, you'll know. And the more you do this, the more you know, you'll get the hang of it. Also, the way my mom taught me was, if you don't like onions, or like you don't want to mix it in your sauce, what you could do, like right now when it's frying, you can add like big chunks of onion. I know some people do that, and they'll just take it out once, you know, it's done. That way you still have the flavor, but you're not eating the onion, if that makes sense. So we just keep stirring. It's almost there. You know, honestly, I didn't take like to see what time we started doing this, but I would say like 5 to 10 minutes. Again, depending on how high. I actually did turn it up. It was I turned it up at 6, and then I went up to 7 just because it was going too slow for me. But the whole cooking of rice, like from start to finish, is maybe an hour. It doesn't take that long. And then another hack is that you can boil. Like I have a tea kettle, and sometimes when I'm like in a super hurry, I'll boil some water in a tea kettle. That way I'll use boiling water already when I pour the water in, and that way it doesn't take longer to cook. But that's optional. And then once you get the hang of it, you know, you can always do that. Try that. But see, now it's all evenly brown, and that's what you want. You want it. You don't want it burnt. You don't want it. You just want a pretty, you know, tan. Okay, this is what we're going for right here. Okay, it's pretty tan. Okay, so at this point now, we're gonna add our sauce. To this, we're gonna add some water. And I have 2 cups here. Okay, so let me show you something. So I put 2 cups of water in here, but I want it to be just I want to add more water, just a little bit. Why? Because I mean, it is covering it, but you see this little part right here, it's not. I want it to be just another like ½ inch more in here. So I just added just a little bit more. Okay, so that's what you want. Okay, you want it to cover, you want the water to cover it completely. Okay, if you don't want to do the sauce, again, you can always do the bouillon. The sauce, for me, I mean, I don't mind these chunky chunks of tomato, but I think I'm gonna take that one out. But I don't mind it. But if you don't, you know, if you don't like it, you can always, you know, either really liquefy it more, or you can just omit the sauce and just put the tomato seasoning in here. I guess I should have left it longer. Okay, so that's that. And okay, so to this, I'm going to add our tomato bouillon stuff. And I'm trying to measure it. I believe, try to measure it again with my, this is a tablespoon, which might be a little too much, but we'll see. No, maybe that's enough. Okay. Okay, I think that's probably good. So I'm gonna add our tomato. some got stuck down there, so it might not even be a whole tablespoon. Maybe a teaspoon. Okay, and then we're just gonna mix it in here like this. I have also, once we put in the sauce, you're going to turn it down. I turned it down to a 4, and now I'm turning it down again to a 3, okay? So once this is done right here, you wanna taste it. You have to see how much, you need to add it just a little bit more salt, which I am, just a little bit more. Just a tiny bit more. Okay, so we're gonna leave it. Bam, you're gonna be good. So to this, we're gonna put a lid on it. Okay, we're going to leave it here for about 10 to 15 minutes. And I'll show you what you're looking for. Again, you've already turned it down to I turned it down to a 3, okay? So it's a very low simmer heat, okay? And you don't wanna stir it anymore. We don't wanna touch it anymore. We're just gonna leave it here. We'll check back in a couple of minutes, like in 10 minutes to see where our water is at, okay? So it has been about 10 minutes, okay? And I just pour all that water that's on the lid, I just let it fall into it. Okay, and this is what it should look like, okay? These little holes, that means it's going good. You're doing good, okay? The sauce, it's okay. It's gonna, you know, kind of start easing out to the sides, which is totally fine. Again, if you don't want the sauce, you can always omit it and just do the chicken bouillon or the tomato one, okay? Now, with your spoon, you're gonna open it just a little bit because, oh crap, because you wanna see where the water is at. You see, 10 minutes was exactly enough time for that to evaporate and to soak up into the rice. But your rice is not done, okay? If you can see, there's still, the rice is still not fully cooked all the way because that super white, that means it's not done, okay? So what we're gonna do is we're gonna add more water to it, okay? Okay, there we go. So here I have a cup, okay? I'm not sure if I'm gonna use all this, but we're gonna start out just with little. All you wanna do is you wanna cover the bottom just a little bit, okay? So you see there's just a little bit of water in there. I didn't use all of it, so I used about half. Yeah, half, maybe a little bit more than half a cup, but there's water in there. You see it bubbling. Okay, that's all you need, okay? We're gonna patch her up again. We're gonna put the lid back on and we're gonna check back in it. We'll check maybe in like 5 to 8 minutes just to see where it's at, okay? That white that you see, that should all be cooked, okay? Actually, let me add just a little bit more water because I think we do need maybe a little bit more. Because there's pretty much, okay, I just did a whole cup, okay? I think we do need it. There's still a lot of rice that's not almost there, okay? So we'll put the lid back on and check it in another like 5 to 10 minutes, okay? Okay, so that was about 8 minutes now. And I can kind of already start to see that maybe my water is completely evaporated. So I'm just gonna open the lid. I'm gonna let all this water fall in there. Okay. All right, and this is what we're looking for. So you want to, that rice that was like still looked kind of hard. Okay, so that's already all gone, okay? So all the rice has already soaked up and it looks pretty well done. So now we're going to just open it up and see. There's no more water. It has been completely evaporated. My rice now is completely done, okay? So I'm gonna turn off my stove, okay? If it's still, you know, like when you grab some and it's still a little bit hard, I mean, just a little bit, go ahead and turn it off, put the lid back on, and just let it sit there. And then it'll finish cooking up there. like that water that from the lid that I just put in there, that should help it finish up. I mean, even if it's just a little bit. If your rice is still has a lot of grains that are very much visibly not done at all, then you might want to add maybe just another half a cup. I mean, you do not want to add too much water because it'll get mushy, you know. So the trick is you only add water once, and that is it. No more than once, okay? And again, it's just going to take practice. It's going to take, you know, the factoring your stove, how hot it is. And then until you practice and you get it down, it's going to be pretty simple. But you only add water once, and you can always start little. You know, I added at the beginning 2 cups, and then the second time was just 1 cup. No, half a cup. But now, I mean, my rice is, I mean, it's all like, I mean, you can do this now. You can fluff it up if you want to. But I was always taught, you know, rice etiquette. You just leave it like that. But yeah, that's it. I tasted it already a little bit, and it, you know, it seemed pretty done. Salt is really good. Yeah, salt is really good to me. I don't like my rice super salty. Now, another thing, if you happen to not have enough salt, now is the time to add just, you know, more salt to it. If you wanted it more salt, you would add the salt here, and then you would fluff it up all the way around. Because I know sometimes before I completely forgot to add any more, or it just has no flavor whatsoever. So right now is the time that I would add more salt to it, okay? Also, because my burner takes a while for it to cool down, I like to move it to the back burner where it's cool and it's not cooking anymore, and it's not going to stick to the bottom of my pan. So right now, nothing is sticking, okay? So that's what you want, okay? If your burner takes a while to cool down, you might want to take it away from the burner if you have no more water in there, because it will burn, okay? But see how fluffy that is? That's super fluffy, has great flavor. It's not super salty. I don't like my rice super salty. If it needed more salt, which mine doesn't, but I'm just gonna add just a little bit more just to kind of show you. You would just add it here, and then with a fork or the same spoon, you kind of just want to fluff it up. You don't want to fluff it up too much, because then you break the grain and then it just doesn't look pretty, you know. You want pretty, appealing, sexy rice, okay? And that is it, guys. That is how you make red rice. So yeah, hope this can help you make some at home. Thank you for watching.